Then to today, when the reception Trump received through his lawyers wasn't an embrace, it was a rebuff. Judges in 3 different jurisdictions trying to rein in the sitting president, who was elected to make good on a clear set of campaign promises. The rogue resistance is real. The myriad lawsuits against the Trump administration have one aim: to make it impossible for him to implement key parts of his agenda. Now, they aim to drown him and the DOJ in a nonstop wave of litigation, challenging everything from his move to separate transgender troops from military service, to shrinking the federal workforce, to deporting the most dangerous illegal aliens imaginable. Now, the idea that any plaintiff with standing can forum shop for the most liberal jurisdiction, then one judge in that district can stop the president's policies, it's obscene. First, Judge James Boasberg in D.C. denied the Trump team's petition to vacate his earlier rulings that put a temporary hold on deportations under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Boasberg ruled that while the government doesn't have to release any potential deportees in custody going forward without conceding the harm that most of these vicious foreign criminals had done to their innocent victims, Boasberg lamented the living conditions in the Salvador prison. Then, in the D.C. District Court of Appeals today, at an oral argument challenging Boasberg's initial hold on the deportations, Obama nominee Judge Patricia Millett made her own political speech with words chosen that would, of course, guarantee her national media coverage.
There were plane loads of people. There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here.
Nazis, of course, they're back to Nazis. And then in another court, the commander-in-chief was blocked again in a case involving transgender airmen challenging Trump's executive orders, proclaiming, guess what, controversial, there are only 2 sexes, and the other one barring openly transgender military personnel from serving in the military. Now, U.S. District Judge Christine O'Hearn, another Biden appointee in this case, ruled for the 2 trans plaintiffs and granting the preliminary injunction. So these are just 3 of the cases. There are many, many more. It is fatuous to say that the courts are not acting politically here, or that Trump is somehow out of bounds in criticizing the judges. This is absurd. Anyone who knows their history knows that presidents going back to Thomas Jefferson criticized the courts. FDR criticized the courts. Reagan criticized the courts. And Trump is criticizing the courts. Oh, and by the way, Democrats all along always criticized the courts when they didn't get their way. We all remember also what the left did when Democrats largely ignored what they did when things went their way. Didn't go their way.
Hands off our body! Hands off our body! Vote them out! Vote them out! Vote them out!
All day long, I saw the zeitgeist on the other cable networks. They were all celebrating, of course. It's basically saying Trump versus the courts. It's not going to end well for Trump, we're supposed to believe. I'll say tonight that is wrong. It ultimately will not end well for the courts themselves. We saw what happened to the credibility of the once respected and supposedly impartial organizations, all of them, when they turned against the popular will. From the FBI to the DOJ to Dr. Fauci, the NIH, CDC, the universities, to the corporate media. They're all weaker than they used to be. Now, why? Is it because conservatives are mean? No. It's because they were all, in their own ways, weaponized and politicized against the people whom they're supposed to serve. So in this case, all these renegade judges, all that they're doing with these Trump cases, it's teaching the 77 million Americans who supported Trump that the courts can't be trusted.
50 years. That's not me saying it. They're saying it. And they're saying it could actually get worse. They're the most unpopular they've ever been. And remember, this party held slaves. And now they're being told to go into hiding.
If you're a Democrat, I'm going to tell you the worst thing that you could do right now. Speak for that guy party. Okay? That party's brand is in such disarray. They have no ideology. My only problem with the Democratic Party is that even the people that are good, the brand of being a Democrat is so bad.
Yeah, you got to rebrand that.
They shit up.
The brand's so toxic that lifelong liberals aren't even staying to fight. They're moving to Ireland. Where'd they come up with that plan? In therapy.
I feel on the verge of crying when I was there. When he got elected, I luckily had a plan with my therapist. Hope she's watching. Hi, Ann. And I said to her, should he be elected, which none of us thought was going to happen, I need a plan. And the plan was always and only Ireland.
The Democrats who are staying don't have a plan. Axios says, talk to 20 Democrats and you'll find each one has a different theory on why they lost. And Rosie's theory is a conspiracy theory.
So I would hope that that would be investigated and that we would see whether or not it was an anomaly or something else that happened on election night in America when Kamala Harris was filling up stadiums with people who supported her. And Donald Trump was not able to do that.
She sounds like Trump. Biden didn't win. Did you see my crowds? It's hard to win if you don't know why you lost. And George Clooney's out there saying, don't look at me.
Looking back on that, happy you did it?
Yeah. I'll make it kind of easy. I was raised to tell the truth. I had seen the president up close for this fundraiser, and I was surprised. And so I feel as if there was a lot of profiles in cowardice in my party through all of that. And I was not proud of that. And I also believed I had to tell the truth.
Clooney just said his party's full of lying cowards, and he calls himself brave for telling the truth. Well, I guess he's brave because you're not allowed to tell the truth in his party. And if you do, they take you out. But the rest of the country didn't need Clooney to tell them Joe was toast. We knew it for years. And we don't need a permission slip from Barack to tell the truth. Suddenly, all these Democrats want credit for telling the truth when the stakes are low. Bernie just came out and said his party's trash.
It saddens me that when the Democrats had control of the Senate, they did virtually nothing for working people. And I have to say that I'm a member of the Democratic caucus as an independent, so I'm not going to lie to you and tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
And since then, do I think the Democrats have been effective in rallying the American people, in stopping Trump's movement toward oligarchy and authoritarianism? No, I don't.
Burndog just told the country, walk away from the Democrat Party and be an independent. But Bernie's just as big of a hypocrite as Clooney. Bernie never said any of this when Democrats were in power. Now he wants Chuck's head on a platter. MoveOn.org says it's time to move on from Schumer. They say their frustrations are at a boiling point, and if nothing changes, donors are ready to yank their funds out. Schumer can smell the coup coming.
Leader Schumer, are you feeling pressure to step down?
Look, I'm not stepping down. And let me just say this, Kristen. I knew when I cast my vote against against the government shutdown that there'd be a lot of controversy, and there was.
Chuck's wounded, the clock's ticking, and the Bernie bros smell blood. The progressives are primarying the old-timers. Watch.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling our country piece by piece. And so many Democrats seem content to just sit back and let them. So I say it's time to drop the excuses and grow a spine. I'm Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois' 9th District.
That woman right there, Kat, she used to work at Media Matters. She used to clip things we said on Fox and try to get us all fired. Now she's running for Congress. This new generation gets going, it's going to get ugly.
The problem for Democrats right now is if they're primaried by a bunch of Bernie Sanders, AOC-type Democrats, they're going to have a real hard problem flipping the House.
Democrats lost two big bets, that they'd always win the youth vote, and when the country got less white, Republicans would be finished. And they were dead wrong on both. And now their coalition's crippled. Ezra Klein, a big-time liberal thinker, says with the way the party's heading and with the number of Democrats moving out of blue states, Democrats could be out of power for the next 15 years. Everyone's moving to red states. It's boosting Republicans' electoral votes. So the Democrats could sweep the Rust Belt and still not hit 270. They lost the working class, and all their leaders aged out. A new poll asked Democrats who best reflects the core values of their party, and AOC came in first place. Wow. AOC is already taking shots at Schumer, saying we need a party that fights harder. And Fetterman told her to shut up. Fight harder, he says, a stunt that would have harmed millions and plunged us into chaos. We kept our government open. Deal with it. Oof. Fetterman just told a woman to deal with it. Are Democrats allowed to talk to each other like that? Now the media is not even getting along with the Democrats.
Okay, you're out there with the AOC today. Would you like to see her join you in the Senate?
Right now, we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
You know, you want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
No.
I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff.
I was just going to ask you one more question about you. I mean, that's all. I was literally your last.
What is your question?
Well, I mean, it's easier.
Who storms out of an interview and then comes back and sits down? What was that? You got to commit. They want AOC to run against Schumer and knock him out because at least AOC can get a crowd, even though it's basically the same crowd Bernie's been getting for 10 years. But some Democrats think she's the ticket.
Newsom is obviously setting up for a run for the presidency in 2028. And I'm not so sure that his current strategy is really going to work, because what he's doing is he's trying to appeal to the right. But what I see is people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are further left than politicians we've seen in the mainstream in modern American history, garnering so much support, breaking records with attendance at rallies. What the left may need right now is possibly somebody further to the left, not further to the right.
So the country's moving right, and Democrats think the way to win is to move left. Everyone fled California, and Democrats are like, I know. Let's run the country like California.
I mean, this looks like game over, you know, and the reason why people are voting with their feet is a lot of what your book is about.
Yeah,
taxes and regulation. I certainly been screaming about it forever. I did 3 years with a sign here that said, how long is it going to take me to get my solar hooked up? 3 years. Talking about it on television in this state. You couldn't do it.
Democrats can't stop the things they want to stop or build the things they want to build. Do they have any ideas that are different than Donald Trump? Because saying, I don't like what he's doing is not an idea. Listen to what Democrats want to campaign on next year.
Well, we could eliminate all voter registration laws. See, when Democrats get in charge, we try to protect voting rights. We don't make voting easier. We didn't have voter pre-registration in 1787. We didn't have voter pre-registration in 1821. We only started having voter registration, generally speaking, after the Civil War. Why do you think that is?
Don't regulate who gets to vote. That's not even an idea. That's just cheating. Politics is basically about getting people on your side. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. Patronage, persuasion, inspiration. Kid Rock is doing conversion therapy.
Kid Rock was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I want you to meet Trump. He said, I'm going to take you to the White House. So now we're going to do that.
I think that's
and
a good
there will be
conversation.
lots of people on the left who will be like, how dare you talk to this man? I was like, you know, I'm not playing this game that you mean girls play.
Yes.
Where like, oh, you know what? You can't sit at my lunch table because I'm just not talking to you. Not talking to you, you lost the election. Who the do you think you have to talk to?
Bill Maher, Gavin Newsom, Stephen A., they lost, and they want to talk to the winning team. This is how it happens. Once you start talking to the other side, you stop hating them because you see them as humans. And then you find out you have a lot in common. And the next thing you know, you're sleeping with the enemy. The Democrats have gone so far left that Gavin, Maher, these guys, they're just looking for a new home. It happened with Rogan, Tulsi, and RFK, too. Republicans have this big, beautiful tent. Why don't you stay for a minute? Spend the night.
It's all downhill from here. Happy Monday, everyone. So last night, former President Biden saw Othello on Broadway. Joe was surprised by the cast, saying, I didn't know Obama was in this. With the Democratic Party struggling, Joe Biden has offered to help rebuild the party. Yeah, wasn't it the party he helped destroy? That's like Al-Qaeda offering to rebuild the Twin Towers. Let me repeat that. That's like Al-Qaeda offering to rebuild the Twin Towers. I love you people. Meanwhile, President Trump took away Joe Biden's security clearance. That means Joe no longer has access to the daily briefs, which is too bad since those were the only briefs not covered. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to smooth this plane out. After saying his attacks on Tesla were just a joke, Tim Waltz said that Republicans have no sense of humor. I don't know, Tim. Millions of us laughed our asses off on election nights. That picture works. A New York woman fell flat on her face after trying to snatch a MAGA hat off a fellow subway passenger. In her defense, she was already pretty drunk. All right. Disney's Snow White is projected to be the lowest-earning live-action remake in the company's history. It's the worst thing to happen to Disney since someone leaked the Minnie and Tommy Lee sex tape. DoorDash will soon allow customers to pay for food deliveries in several installments. Great news if you've ever dreamed of one day owning a Big Mac. According to one nutritionist, the best way to lose weight is to eat like a baby. Tough part is getting your mom to hold still. Disgusting. The White House is seeking logo and branding sponsorships for this year's Easter egg roll. Word is there will be a flyover from the Goodyear blimp. Too easy. And finally, a UK startup aims to get humans living underwater by 2027, which would be an easy transition for those with blowholes. I feel dirty. I feel dirty. All right, the Democrat Party is about to tumble into the abyss of permanent irrelevancy. A recent survey has them polling at only 27%. Hell, Randy Weingarten's sperm count has better numbers. But in the civil war going on within that party, the progressives have the energy, the momentum, the jobless activists, and this guy.
Alexandria is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her joining the Senate?
Right now, we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
No.
Ow! Ooh. Someone got up on the wrong side of the autopsy table. So is a cranky octogenarian socialist with a voice like an incontinent tuba the party's future? Or is it AOC, who believes that the future is flatulence?
And this isn't just about Republicans. We need a Democratic Party that fights harder for us, too.
I'm with her. If she thought gas stoves were a problem, she better not light a match near an 83-year-old. Then we got Waltz revealing in a few words why Trump won every swing state.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
Now, I think he's only mad because Teslas don't come in pink. But then he was forced to backpedal like a moon-walking marshmallow.
This guy bugs me in a way that is probably unhealthy. I have to be careful about being a smartass. I was making a joke. These people have no sense of humor. They are the most literal people. But my point was they're all mad, and I, said something I didn't, probably shouldn't have about a company.
Looks like Tim's comedy career will be as successful as his combat tour of duty. Except this time it'll be audiences running away, not him. But it's not just the old and new progressive guard that's literally falling on its face. Here's an average Democrat female in her native habitat of NYC.
Well, this is my stop. I hope you enjoy the hat.
I could just watch that on a loop forever. Isn't it beautiful? Seriously, I think a star is born. But, you know, when you make New York rats point and laugh, you know, you up. And let's not forget what's on the ground of the average New York City subway platform. Yeah, her face is now like the Wuhan lab, but with a mustache. Disgusting. And what of the male progressive? Well, here's one keying a Tesla while in his jammies. That's right, a grown man actually wearing Lilo and Stitch pajamas. No wonder libs think Tampon Timmy's an icon of masculinity. Sorry, real men don't dress like they want to crash your daughter's slumber party. Then, of course, there's the lefty celeb. Here's Rosie on an Irish talk show.
I question why the first time in American history a president has won every swing state and is also best friends, and his largest donor was a man who owns and runs the internet. So I would hope that that would be investigated and that we would see whether or not it was an anomaly or something else that happened on election night in America.
Is she cosplaying Ben Franklin? Poor Ireland. Suddenly that whole potato famine doesn't seem so bad. Soon the Irish will be praying to St. Patrick to get rid of her and bring back snakes. But understand that these dopes tell a bigger story, that the Democrat Party's in free fall. From the lowest level man-child to the highest level politician, there's no reason, no optimism, just insanity piled on insanity, and it's ready to topple like a human pyramid with Joy Behar on top. Now, always applause for Joy. Now, this might be the future of the party, but it doesn't have to be. There's Senator Fetterman, once a progressive darling who is now reviled by them for approaching normalcy. You know your party's in trouble when the voice of reason is a stroke victim who dresses like he steals from a laundromat. There's Ezra Klein, whose new book instructs Dems to embrace deregulation and technological innovation rather than kill an economy and set fire to electric cars. It sounds level-headed because it sounds like us. Fine. Act like us. We'll take it. And sure, maybe they're doing it for political survival, but if it aligns with common sense, we win. If Dems start acting like Republicans, then fewer people will die. But good luck. The problem with the Dems is the same problem you saw with ESPN or MSNBC or CNN. When the competent flee, the people left behind, who no one wants, simply become more unhinged because they have nowhere else to go. They triple down on the woke, get more radical, as identity politics remains the armor that keeps them from joining the rest of the human race. They reject the hero's journey for the villains, because the sunk cost of their dedication to ideology has made it impossible to see a way out. They're lost, miserable, destructive. So it's not the Democrat Party you need to worry about. It's what's left of the Democrat Party. Because what gets them out of bed in the morning isn't to help, but to hurt. And you know this, and I know this, but do the Democrats know it? Well, they're about to find out. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Yoo-hoo is his favorite drink and greeting. Host of the Guy Benson Show, Guy Benson. That is good. He needed a permission slip from his mom to do this show. GOP Youth Advisory Council co-chair C.J. Pearson. Her eyeballs are behind glass, and her diet prevents gas. Host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. And like water aerobics, old ladies love doing him in the pool. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion, Tyrant. Guy, great to see you as always. You're finally aging. That's encouraging. I'm wondering, because things often get worse. They changed the name. Political correctness became wokeness. Will the Democrats get worse, or can they get themselves out of this? It's the most important question in our time.
I think that's the most important question facing their party. I think a lot of it depends on how the economy goes for the next couple of years, because voters are willing to very quickly even stampede back to an unhinged party if they feel like the system is not working for them. I want to just cede the rest of my time to a repeat loop of that woman falling in the subway. Can we just play that for the remainder of my answer?
We should have it on for the entire show, just in the corner. It's fun to watch. It's great. What is that? What do you think?
There it is.
All right, let me ask you. Where do you think her anger comes from? You know that it's inside. It's not about the hat. It's not about Tesla cars. There's something going on. Why is she so miserable, Guy?
Unhappy person. She needs to work that out. They always tell men, go to therapy. She might need to go to therapy. That's probably a lot healthier than that screenshot right there that we're seeing. The other thing, by the way, about Tim Walz, he said in that clip that we played that he is bothered by Elon Musk. He said the guy bugs him in a way that's unhealthy. And that is exactly how I feel about Tim Walz, as a matter of fact. And the fact that he and Kamala Harris ran the campaign that they did, and he looks around and takes inventory and says, you know what this party needs? A lot more Tim. That is delusional, but I endorse it completely because if that's their future, they will lose for a long time.
Very true. CJ, I'm glad they extended your bedtime so you can come and do this show.
Thank God.
Yes. What are you 16?
22.
22. Well, I was close. So he's legal, Guy.
Just barely.
Guy is giving me the death look.
Me and Guy play for different teams. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
CJ, what do you think about the... Look at Guy.
Wait, Guy is straight?
What do you think about the Democrat Party splitting? Do you think it's possible that something good can come out of it?
You know, I don't think anything good is coming out of this modern Democrat Party, but I think what we're seeing right now is 140 plus days after the election, the Democrats have shown that they haven't learned a single damn thing about why they lost this election. I got to tell you, Greg, I'm not mad at it. When your enemy is in the middle of making a mistake, let them, and that is what we should do. All of those videos that we saw show us that the Democrats are exactly what they accuse us of being. They say that we're intolerant. When was the last time you saw a MAGA supporter beat up a Kamala Harris supporter for wearing a hat that we didn't agree with, or when they were running around Washington, D.C. with vaginas on their head and their gender-fluid husbands? We didn't do a single thing about it because guess what? We are tolerant. They say that we hate the everyday working man. Tim Walz was actively supporting the demise of the Minnesota Pension Fund, which is heavily invested in Tesla because Elon Musk hurt his feelings. He can take his little Kia Bolt and do whatever he wants, and no one cares. He is irrelevant. He will continue to be irrelevant. And if he wants to fight anyone, as he challenged people to do to prove his masculinity, he should fight Tyrus. I'd love to see it. We want to see you in the ring.
Okay.
You know, I can't get the image of vaginas on women's heads, Kennedy. How different would the world be if that were the case?
If that's where they were?
Yes.
Well, I guess you'd stop looking at our boobs.
Okay. That's disgusting. This is a family show.
Really?
A
You tried to pimp
family.
out a teenager just a minute ago. Okay.
I've clearly aged out for Greg, so he's got a new victim.
You know, disgusting. Kennedy, you look at people that key stuff and what is going on inside? I'm a little more curious, not just calling them names, but is there something going on?
Yes. I mean, we're in the middle of a mental health crisis, and the crisis isn't just that people are in psychic pain. It's that people only want to talk about their mental health crisis, and they don't want to get better.
Yeah.
It's actually, it was a really important point that Kat pointed out in her book. It's like, you know, people are so comfortable talking about, you know, I'm suffering and I'm depressed. It's like, that's horrible, and I have empathy for you. But the point of talking about that is to get better. But there's no incentive to get better when you live in a culture of victimhood. It's like, you know,
there's no,
that's manliness. That guy is shoving Tim's tampons up his butt.
They got to go somewhere. They have to go somewhere. Tyrus, what do you think? Do you have an overarching theme to everything we just saw?
Well, I disagree with anyone. I don't think it's fair to put it on mental health. I don't think it's fair for the people who struggle with real mental health issues. The problem is that you have ignorant people who listen to the messaging. The messaging has been violence for 6 years now.
Yeah.
They go on TV. Every time something bad happens, they say it. They preach he's Hitler. They make excuses for people who have nothing else going on. Usually people who like to make excuses for what's going on with their life. The reason why I don't have a good job is because this person took it from me. That it's always everyone else's fault. They have the same problems no matter what situation you put them in, and the only connection is them. That's the target. It's the guys who look like that who wear pajamas all day because he has nowhere to be to dress up for. And he's not good enough to be able to show up like this and do his job. So, and that's it. And they also rely on the other side's kindness because we make jokes about the woman who was attacking him.
Yeah.
She's lucky he decided not to stand his ground.
Yeah.
Because someone's trying to take your hat off, trying to touch you. If you watch the whole thing, she's screaming at the guy. The entire cart in the train is telling her she's wrong. One brother's in the corner like, y'all lost, get over it.
Yeah.
He has every right to wear the hat. Trump did good things. Y'all mad about there was no one cheering her on.
Yeah.
So she had to keep going to try to prove her little point. And she also knew by his behavior of him backing up, putting his hands up, she was in known danger. She picked the wrong man to do that with, and he decides, I'm not running.
Yeah.
Then what's going to happen? She's going to fall the other way.
Yeah.
So my advice to her is take 2 Ozempics and hit a gym and figure it out.
Yes. All right. Up next, the unlikely host who will meet with Trump.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like tickets to see Gutfeld, go to foxnews.com/Gutfeld and click on the link to join our studio audience.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.